Today we're going to be taking a look at the XRGB-mini Framemeister, which is basically that super cool, awesome upscaler I got. But before I talk about my first impressions with that, what you're seeing right now is that $60 upscaler I've been using for all my RGB SCART consoles. And do notice, you see the flickering? Well, now it just stopped, but there was that flickering underneath the Sega CD intro. Oh, by the way, the quality that you're seeing here is 100% unaltered. So normally I tweak the colors just a bit to make it a little bit darker, but here this is straight up, this is just whatever the upscaler did, this is it. Now, this has been set to basically upscale the original source to 1080p. Look at the bottom right hand corner of the screen and you'll see it's basically off. You'll notice that there's like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 pixels. There's like a line there in the bottom right hand corner. Alright, so this was just the introduction to Echo. Nothing more fancy than that. Now we'll switch to the XRGB. The very first thing you're going to notice is, hey, look at that. That flickering is still there. You'll also notice though that this is no longer in 16:9, it's automatically switched to 4:3, which I think is very interesting. You'll also notice that this has scan lines. What you don't know is that this is actually 720p, this is not being outputted in 1080, because if you do 1080, the scan lines come out all retarded. Now, I am not an expert here, so it is very possible that I've screwed up the scan lines, because if you look on the right hand side where the screen is a little bit, what can I say, lighter color, that lighter shade of blue, you'll notice that the scan lines don't flow 100% perfectly. So I'm wondering if someone has any idea what's up with that. I already went on the wiki and I followed the instructions to a T, so I'm not sure if I've screwed something up, because the scan lines should be 100% and they don't appear to be. So okay, let's switch games here. Now we're going to take a look at Sonic CD. Again, you see the colors flickering. Now I want to mention this right away. I bought my cables from Retro Console Accessories on eBay, and I purposely bought the XRGB cables. There was only one set for each of your particular systems. So in other words, there's a Saturn one, there's a PlayStation 1 version, there is a Genesis Model 2, Genesis Model 1, etc. But keep in mind that that flickering was still on my old converter, and I was using a different cable, and yet I still had that flickering. So I'm wondering if it's something to do with the CD itself. But anyways, maybe one of you guys can answer me on that. Once again, if you look very carefully, if you pause this, you can see, especially right here, take a look at the scan lines and you'll notice that they are off. So what I've done is I have the output set to 720p and I have V-line set to on. Now all the other options I have set to what the wiki said to set it to. So I'm wondering if anyone knows if there's another setting or if there's something I'm missing here, either with the XRGB or if this is to do more with my monitor and it's something that I don't know. So if one of you guys could let me know about that, I would greatly appreciate it. What I really like with the scan lines though, even though they are a little bit off here, is the fact they just make everything look sharper. Like the image itself looks much, much sharper. I can do a 1080p comparison, which is what I'm going to do later, but first I want to make this as fair as possible. So I really want to get those scan lines fixed, and I also really want to figure out why that flickering is there. There's got to be someone who knows what's that all about. Alright, switching games again. Here we have Streets of Rage from the Sega CD 4-in-1 arcade classics, or at least that's what I think it is. You'll notice again the flickering is there, so I don't know what's up with that. This looks absolutely awesome with the scan lines and like everything, just the colors. If I were to just sharpen this up just a tad, it would it'd be even more impressive. But overall, right now, I've got no input lag. The only thing I've got that's of any concern to me, really, is to just make sure I don't get doubling up of scan lines, which you can see if you look very carefully at the image. It's really useful if you pause the image so you can actually see that there is some skipping of the scan lines there. So yeah, that's pretty much the two questions that I mainly had, was if anyone knew why, if they've seen that before, why that flickering is there in the lower portion of the screen, and also how I can go about getting true one-to-one with the scan lines so that they come out looking a little bit better than what they look like right now. So yeah, that's great, guys. If anyone can help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. So far though, I'm very impressed with this upscaler, mainly because I don't need to do anything with the settings. Just have to tweak a few things here and there, but for the most part, I love the fact that it defaults, you know, to 4:3, and overall, just the quality is just fantastic. All right, guys. So thank you very much in advance for helping me out. By all means, leave a comment. Let me know, you know, what I can do, and I'll answer you there. And then from there, what I'm going to do is, once I've got the scan lines figured out, I'm then going to do a comparison showing you guys basically with scan lines at 720p, and then switching it to 1080p and taking a look at just like the difference in the quality, because some of you might actually prefer it without the scan lines, but for me, this is old school. This is what it would have looked like on a CRT, well, except with perfect scan lines. So thanks in advance, guys. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to your suggestions.
Do